Hello, and welcome to...
Wait. Our audio listeners won't know what just happened, but she does like this hello, like wave and everything.
Hello.
I just tried to mimic it, and we just ultimately just backhanded each other's backhand. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm done mocking you. Please continue your intro.
If you didn't watch the last episode, then you won't know. This month is all about Jim Henson Productions.
Woo!
One of Benson's favorite creators of all time. We were both, of course, naturally excited.
And she wants to get into it, so she's excited.
Last week, we talked about some more obscure stuff.
The lesser-known things, some made by Jim Henson, others guest-starring Jim Henson, and others... Or actually, I don't think any of them guest starred Jim Henson, other than his own commercials, which he technically wrote. So, like, nothing else really happened. So, yeah, a lot of it was, like, his team that he trusted dearly. So, yeah, welcome to the part where Jim Henson's actually very heavily involved, for the most part.
This episode, we are talking about two kind of obscure stuff, but I feel like they're still pretty well known.
I don't even think they're that obscure. I think out of the two. First of all, Storyteller, Jim Henson Hour. Woo! Anyways, I feel like Jim Henson Hour is the lesser of the two. But even then, Storyteller's pretty popularly well known, I feel like. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong, but yeah.
I just haven't heard a lot of people talk about it compared to his other stuff, so maybe that's why I was thinking they were a little more obscure than they actually are. If you don't know, you can find all of the episodes of The Storyteller, including the Greek myths, which we will talk about today, and the Jim Henson Hour on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Except for Miss Piggy's Tour of Hollywood.
So I think... So the playlist that I was looking at didn't have it, so we didn't get to watch it. But then I found another playlist. It was just too late for me to watch that one that might have had Miss Piggy's. So we'll talk about that one eventually, but that was not one of the ones that I got to watch.
Yeah, we decided to group these two together, because they're longer episodes, a lot of them, especially, obviously, Jim Henson Hour, because it's in the name. It's an hour after commercials, essentially. But I digress. I caught my own air on that one. It was weird. They're very similar in many regards. They're self-contained stories that Jim Henson wants to tell. The way he tells them is vastly different. Very, very vastly different. And honestly, they overlap in some episodes. They do. They really do. I forgot that for a while.
Yeah.
They quite literally overlap. The Storyteller will sometimes be in Jim Henson Hour, but you'll never see Jim Henson Hour in the Storyteller. Mm-hmm. But then again, I'd feel pretty weirded out if I saw Digit the Robot recounting stories and myths. But we'll get into the characters when we get into it. So, which one are we talking about first?
I watched the Storyteller first, so let's talk about the Storyteller.
Sure, ladies first.
What were your experiences with this one?
Very, very limited until I started realizing I have free will into my adulthood and started researching and finding my own cool shit. But I am a huge myths and legends person, as many of you know, especially Greek mythology. So, color me pink rosed when all of a sudden I'm looking at Jim Henson stuff in my early 20s, late teens, I forget where, it was college I'm pretty sure, and find out that he made stuff based on myths. And I'm like, no fucking way. That's crazy, dude. And the other part of my brain's like, yeah. And then the other one's like, why are we talking to ourselves? We really should go back to therapy. And then that's how we got here on this podcast. But it was very limited. Again, I feel like I got late into the game with media. Everyone always says I'm like a media whiz. But I feel like I have not been that way my whole life. Everyone props it up like I just came out of someone's coochie as the media person. Like, they're like, congratulations, it's a boy. And all of a sudden I popped out going, Jim Henson's Power Hour was basically where Dog City originated before the cartoon. I was not like that, I can assure you. It wasn't until, I guess, I got into my late teens that I started really delving into media. Like, I had fascinations. Like, I loved The Muppets, obviously. I loved Fraggle Rock. I loved Wubulous World, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't explore creators of mine or other similar ideas until late teens, adulthood, where I decided, hey, I like this stuff. I want to keep looking into it and get inspiration. And here I am now. But it's very limited until then. But I love myths. I love creation myths. I love fairy tales, mythology of general, Greek, Japanese, Egyptian being some of my favorites, honestly, to recount. I just love myths in general. So, it's great to see, especially because this is like a tried and true, in my opinion, retelling of a myth. Like, you could find this, I feel like, in a book itself. Well, other than the talking dog asking questions. Played, actually, funnily enough, by his son, Brian Henson.
It's funny that you mentioned books, though, because there are Storyteller comics.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck my ass. What?
That is how I originally heard of the Storyteller, is I was looking for something to do for a readathon. If you don't know what a readathon is, it's basically a group of people getting together and, like, reading certain prompts.
They
and
watch
like,
anime.
joining certain teams. And, like, I'm very vaguely explaining it, but I was looking for something for a prompt for a readathon and happened to find the Storyteller. I didn't even know it was a TV show until we started talking about this podcast.
Wow. Okay, you learn something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't realize there was a comic, but yeah, it really does feel like a book because it feels like they took like transcribings of these myths and made them into their own, especially the Greek mythology, which is a 4-part sequel series, if you will. And it was a great time, but even then, like, it's more on the serious side of Jim Henson's stuff, but you feel his presence still. And you feel what he wants to do for storytelling. And I feel like if you want to see where Jim Henson can go as a serious world builder before watching The Dark Crystal, Storyteller is like your warm-up, in my opinion. And his puppetry is fantastically there in every regard. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my experience. Lay it on me!
All right, I think I was the most excited for this one.
Out of everything for the month?
Out of everything for the month. Other than, of course, when we get to the Muppets.
That's a good choice of words.
But, so I have both negative and positive things to say about both of these shows.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that you mention the myths, especially, because the Storyteller series in itself, the 12-part, the first part, focuses on European myths and
more specifically,
European fairy tales.
Yeah.
My issue with that is I've read a lot of European myths and fairy tales, and sometimes they can get very repetitive, and the stories can seem very similar to each other. I didn't actually have a problem with that in The Storyteller. It seems like they picked stories that I had never heard of, which I really, really enjoyed. However, I do wish there was more focus on other cultures.
Yeah, I mean, this is a UK-based thing, which sucks. Again, it's like Fafner Hall. It was originally UK-based. I mean, to be fair, fun fact about the production, we technically in the US didn't even get the Greek myths originally because there was only UK they showed it in. Because a lot of Jim Henson stuff, I should probably mention, around the 80s, 90s for a while, a lot of it was based in the UK, to be fair. If it wasn't the UK, it was Canada where Fraggle Rock was made. But because of the production, I again, not to say the location caused the production, I don't know the specifics off the top of my head, but I will say that probably has a hand to play in it because it was the most ready available locations. Jim Henson at this time was also spending a lot of money on, again, I'm trying to remember the timeline of release dates, but pushing Dark Crystal and then eventually pushing Labyrinth and all this stuff. Not to excuse it, of course, because I agree. I wish there was Japanese myths. I wish there was Egyptian myths. But for what the budget was and what they could hold for myths with limited puppetry, I'm not entirely mad about the European myths. Because I agree where, like, I feel like I haven't heard some of these myths before.
Yeah, I thought it was, like, I definitely loved it as much as I thought I was going to, because I love stories, obviously.
Shocker. Shocker there.
I love stories, and I love the idea of telling stories like you would in the old days, before books. Like sitting around a campfire and just listening to someone tell you an old folktale. I love that, and that's exactly how the Storyteller felt.
Yeah,
and so I wasn't disappointed in that aspect. I think I was just looking for something to nitpick, and that was my something that I needed to nitpick.
Yo, where are my Japanese myths? Where's my ghost with an eye where its asshole is
I
supposed to be?
I would have settled for Egyptian myths.
Yeah.
I would have settled for Native American myths.
Well, it's interesting.
Something.
It's interesting you
that
say
just
that
wasn't...
because, like, you know, back in the day, we got to keep in mind not to be that person to excuse it, but time period.
Valid.
Native American myths and Native American culture in general, even though there's still a lot of work to go to acknowledging the land that we stole from Native Americans and just in general acknowledging Native American culture as a society and even as a world in general, I feel like it was tough back then. I'm sure Jim Henson maybe had a fascination. I don't think he had the care to, because I don't know. It's not to excuse it, not to say it or anything, but, and it sucks because the 80s, as much as you start to see leaps and bounds in weird ways that we acknowledge now for culture shifts, I feel like they just weren't cared for. And also not to defend the Storyteller doing European only, I feel like that was an interesting move because Greek myths were always done to death before, I feel like. Every movie was a Greek myth. I mean, you look at the Odyssey, you look at the Iliad, you look at Jason and the Argonauts. Every big wig wanted to make Greek myths. And not saying medieval myths didn't exist, but they were their own high fantasy-like myths, you know? Especially in the King Arthur realm. I feel like doing these European myths, even though it's not as diverse as one would want it to be in regards to mythology, it's still interestingly diverse because Europe, for what it's worth, has like a shit ton of countries that have different philosophies in some way. It's not an excuse, it's just an interesting concept where like we're saying, man, they really could diverse. And it, again, more Japanese myths, Egyptian myths, and Native American myths especially.
You're just obsessed with Japanese myths.
I like my ghost with an eye for an asshole. What do you want from me? But like, Native American myths are also pretty fucking rad, I will say, like legends and all that. But as much as I would want those, I feel like the European ones were interesting because there was a lot of Irish, especially Irish folktales. I feel like go hard, and they don't get the love that they get sometimes. It's always, like I said, Arthurian myths. So even though it wasn't as diverse as we would want it to be, it still found a way to be in Europe itself instead of just being King Arthur all the time, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. It was just, that was just like my nitpicky thing that I like just wish, and I feel like if it were made today, it definitely would have been more diverse. There would have been more cultures explored. But for what it was, I loved it.
Yeah, I feel like that also depends on who's making it, but if it was made today, if Brian Henson decided to bring it back, yeah, I feel like he'd probably throw a few more in, especially because it's so popular now to talk about all these myths online. So, okay, what was your favorite of the bunch?
I would be really intrigued, though, to see how he would bring it back.
Ooh, well, both storytellers, I think, are dead.
Yeah.
I think they're both dead, actually.
Yeah, which is really, really sad.
They did change, fun fact, the storyteller.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that afterwards because I have opinions on that.
Oh, I know you do. You always have opinions.
I have opinions. My favorite episode of The Storyteller.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm talking original though, like original. Mm-hmm. We can't do Greek myths yet.
I know.
There's some good ones on there. Oh, excuse me. I know mine, and I think it's an award winner.
Really?
Yeah, a couple of Jim Henson stuff for Storyteller and for the Jim Henson Hour have gone on to win awards or be acknowledged at the very least.
I think my favorite was The True Bride.
Wrong.
Really?
I'm kidding.
Which one was yours?
I'm kidding. It's a good episode, but The Heartless Giant.
Okay, that was one of the ones in Jim Henson Hour.
Yeah, The Heartless Giant, technically. That has gone on to win some awards, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Yeah. If I remember correctly, The Heartless Giant at least has been acknowledged for its practical effects and storytelling, especially. But that's a good choice. Why The True Bride?
I don't know. I feel like it was the one that felt the most familiar, and in like that kind of way, kind of more comforting. Mm-hmm. So it only added to the ambiance and the comfort of the show. And we all know, like from the very beginning, I've said comfort is what I go to for go-to media. So I feel like this is an episode that I could watch again and again.
Okay, so what episode challenged your comfort then?
Challenged?
Like it was out of your realm. And I guess as a follow-up, what is your least favorite episode then?
I feel like the one that... I feel like Fear Not, and that's only because I don't really, as opposed to everything else, like I remember everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember Fear Not. Like I didn't really like...
Okay.
I guess I wasn't just invested in it. I know I watched it.
Yeah.
But I just didn't really
That's fair.
get sunk into it.
That's fair. That is totally fair, I will say. So, that's interesting then to think about. Most intriguing episode. Not your favorite, but you didn't expect to enjoy it.
The Soldier in Death.
Oh, the very first episode. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Which actually, okay, so the very first episode, the episode that they are in order are not the episodes that they are in order of, like, on YouTube.
Yes.
It's in, like, a weird order.
A lot of playlists have them weirdly. So.
And, of course, I watched some of them while watching the Jim Henson Hour, so I definitely watched things out of order. Not that it really matters with this series.
Yeah, because some of them were in the Jim Henson Hour. Yeah. Right? Like the 3 Ravens in the final episode of Jim Henson Hour.
Yes.
So, interesting. Why that one?
I don't know. I just didn't think that I would really care about a soldier story. But this one was really interesting, and, like, they actually use... So they don't use puppets in all of the episodes.
Which we can talk about in a second, because that's my next question for you.
Yeah, they don't use puppets in all of the episodes, but I feel like the use of puppets in this one went really well. And, like, I'm sure I'm going to say this again, but I really have been thinking a lot about the actors who work with puppets. Like, not just puppeteers, not just, like, the voices of the puppets, but, like, the actors who are actually sitting there and having to talk to these puppets as if they're real people. Because that takes some serious acting. We've seen before in CGI movies where, like, they look a little awkward talking to something that isn't there.
I mean, they CGI other actors in. I mean, not to talk about another topic, but Marvel for Doomsday and Secret Wars, as much as everyone wants to be excited, I guess there's been stuff going around where a lot of the actors have said they're not interacting with each other in some scenes because there's so many actors and so many schedule conflicts that they're CGIing in actors, so they don't know what the fuck is going on.
And we can see how awkward that is, but so far, for everything that I've seen of Jim Henson and, like, the actual, like, live action actors that are sitting there talking to these puppets do a phenomenal job.
Which is interesting because that's going to be a topic we get to when it comes to the movies, because there's 2 very famous instances people meme to death about actors performing with Muppets. Tim Curry in Treasure Island and Michael Caine in A Christmas Carol.
Oh.
So, like, and it's interesting you say that because it's true. You know, that does take serious acting depending on the story. Michael Caine treated everybody around him like they were all thespian actors. And Tim Curry, to quote the meme, treats himself like he's a Muppet in, you know, Treasure Island. Yeah. So I feel like seeing this, and like Jim Henson and live actors acting with the Muppets and his puppetry has always been a thing. Like, no shit, obviously. You go back to the Muppet Show especially, where they always had the special guest. But it really does show how lively his team is when performing with puppets. And it's a testament to how involved the actors are. Because there's a lot of puppet shows I think you and I have watched throughout the years that involve live action guests where they just don't give a shit. But this is one where everybody's having a good time. And it speaks to Henson, and when he's not involved, it speaks to his son and his team and how much they interact. I mean, one of my favorite examples is outside of the Muppets. You know, there is a Muppet performer famously in a movie that you've watched. Frank Oz.
Oh, yes.
Performing Yoda in Star Wars.
Yes.
So, and him and Luke, for what it's worth, you would think that Yoda was a real alien. Like, Luke was taking it so seriously. Mark Hamill was having the time of his life with it. So it speaks to the testament that these guys take it seriously and try to make sure everybody involved believes in the world, not just themselves, whether it's in a Jim Henson production thing or in something like George Lucas's Star Wars. So it's interesting that you mentioned that. So here's my next question for you. The lack of puppetry. The only consistent puppet is usually Brian Henson as the dog. First of all, what'd you feel about the dog?
Oh, I loved him.
Yeah.
Loved him. Of course we knew. I love dogs. I love animals in general, for the most part.
Yeah. He was like the curious kid being told the story.
Yeah,
Like the story.
and I loved that.
Yeah, like the storyteller was like a parent, and especially in the Greek myths, the dog would pose more questions in the Greek myths, especially.
Yeah.
If you notice.
Which
So
definitely made me laugh.
yeah.
Because, like, there were some questions that you're just like, I definitely would have asked that. Or, oh, that was so cute. Like, that's just something, like, a little kid would ask while listening to a story with their parents.
I love the dog several times throughout a myth just going, did he fucking die?
Yeah. He didn't say the F word.
And the storyteller, I swore during Theseus, I heard him go, yo, that fucker died? Ain't no... Brian Henson's dog is looking going, Cap, dog. That's Cap. And the storyteller's like, what are you talking about? What are you saying? And he goes, Sigma pilled.
No, my God. He did not say that.
I know Miggy's gonna laugh. I wanted to say that for Miggy. I want to say that once for Miggy, so that way he gets his kick of his memes. But the dog is an interesting one, because I feel like that's like one where like you either like it or you don't. Because there's the storyteller, and then there's the dog asking all these questions and being the third party. I know a lot of people like the dog, I'm pretty sure. But
like,
it's
they
interesting.
should like the dog, because I feel like without the dog, there's no show.
Really?
Because, I mean, who is he telling the story to other than breaking the fourth wall?
That's also true. That's a good point. But I feel like that's make or break, because some people, I feel like, don't like that trope where the person being told the story is like, hey, what the hell? Like, it's a Princess and the Bride type of trope.
I was
Princess
just
Bride.
thinking the Princess Bride.
Princess and the Bride. Jesus Christ. Princess Bride. Yes, because it feels like that.
Is that a sapphic retelling of Princess Bride?
Yes, it's the Princess and the Frog.
The Princess and the
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Princess and the Frog and the Princess Frog.
Princess Frog.
This is Benson's retelling of myths. Play the intro. But no, it's interesting that you think that makes the show. I do agree, though. I do. So, back to the thing. Brian Henson's dog is the only consistent puppet. Mm-hmm. Going into this, you see Jim Henson's name, and this is a lot of production stuff, too. You see Jim Henson's name, you don't see Muppets, but late 80s, early 90s, you start to get used to that and go, okay, where's the puppetry in general? And it's barely there other than the dog. Do you think that takes away from Jim Henson's production and his vision? Because up until this point, he has mainly been known as the Muppet person. And again, he was fighting tooth and nail for a lot of other movies, and he was trying to be as creative as possible. Do you feel like that takes away from his vision that he didn't have as many puppets, if at all?
That's a really good question.
Yes.
Personally, no, I don't think so.
That's the correct answer. I agree with. I agree with that so much.
I think as a creator, you need to, yes, you can have a niche, but you also need to expand and do some different things. And I think that was kind of the point of the storyteller, is to like use puppets and utilize puppets, but still have something that can stand on its own without the puppets. There are a lot of his creations and a lot of his works that don't work without puppets.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I feel like, could definitely work on its own.
Yeah, like, imagine the Muppets without all the puppets. Yeah. It was just a bunch of people running a theater show. I don't think it'd land as well.
Exactly.
Like,
I agree.
The Dark Crystal, like, looking at that, if there was any semblance of humans there, it would not work, in my opinion. It'd just be another fantasy film, which is weird because people consider it another fantasy film as it is. But add humans in the mix, it's done. So that was one I wanted to pick your brain about.
Which is interesting because, like, I don't know, this just popped into my brain thinking of it. Like, I don't even feel like it would work as, like, a claymation movie. I think you have to have puppets.
Yes. That is true. Interesting. Okay, so that was my big question. So... we've talked about the European myths already. They're very interesting, usually very cheeky. You know, there is a moral, but it's not as big as the follow-up sequel, the Greek myths. I see your face scrunching already. I want to know.
Okay. I did not hate them. Mm-hmm. First of all, they were really short. It's only 4 episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's fair.
I wanted to do more research on why there were only 4 episodes, but I went to bed because I was really tired.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's really all they had for it. You know, I mean...
Which is interesting because Greek myths expand so much.
Greek myths also took place, mind you, like right before and after Jim Henson's death. It was sandwiched right in that little point where it was.
Well, you could tell.
Oh yeah, you. Oh shit! Oh boy.
I'm sorry. Okay, they weren't bad by any means. No, they weren't bad.
The Achilles heel.
They were not bad at all. But, and maybe this is just me being the type of person who doesn't love change. I missed the old narrator.
Yeah.
And I get why they changed him, because I don't think he would have worked well for this selection of stories. I think they needed somebody else who could tell the stories in a different way, because this is an entirely different media form.
Yeah, like we talk about European myths and each one having different formats because there's so many of the different countries, but Greece is a part of Europe. Keep in mind as well, audience. But the other thing is that Greece was the epitome of all culture for the longest age of time. A lot of our habits and ideas and government ideas, thanks Greece, and other stuff and myths in general and moral lessons come from ancient Greece. So in a way, it's grander. It's a lot different in that regard. There's a grander scale of like where humanity was trying to find itself, and Greece was like, hey, this explains it through the gods. Where a lot of European myths don't necessarily use gods, but just expand on the folly of man in cheekier ways, in my opinion. This is grander. I like the old Storyteller because he had a very like a grandfather giving his little grandchild a candy before bed without grandma knowing, and winks and nudges type of storytelling. Yeah. This guy was like, I forget the names off the top of my head, and I know them so well, which sucks, but I'm so sorry, audience. But this guy had you could see him in a Greek amphitheater type of thing telling the story.
You do know who he is.
Why do I feel like
he plays a very famous character before he passed away.
I'm gonna cry. I feel like I know
we try
who it
not
is.
to talk about this series online because we do not like what the author stands
for.
The
first narrator I know is from those movies.
So is the second.
What?
Before he passed away.
Who was he?
Dumbledore.
Oh, he was Dumbledore? What?
At least that's what it said in the comments that I was looking through, but I'm pretty
sure
he
actually?
was.
No. Fact check this. Pull your phone out. I saw you pulling up the episodes. I need to know. I know the first one was whatever his name from Philosopher's Stone. And again, we don't support that series here, by the way. We hate that fucking author.
Yeah, we will not be talking about that.
We should have probably... There are certain series we'll not touch. This is one of them. But was he actually Dumbledore? Are we sure? I can't believe that.
Yeah,
Michael? Oh my god. That's hysterical, actually. Whoa. That's crazy. Good for him. I like his role here than in Dumbledore, I guess. I will say that. But that's... Wow. Interesting. But that explains it too. I mean, Dumbledore, not to talk about it too much, but he could impose power with his voice when he wanted to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is the same actor.
Like, I feel like that makes sense now, actually, putting that into that context.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
It's interesting that you say he felt familiar.
They both did, and I was like, where have I seen this guy before? And then I looked it up, and the first story told. But that's awesome. So Nigel and Michael. Okay. That's the name, Nigel. But they were both very good in their own regards. For sure. For sure.
Yeah, I just think... So, for a while, I was wondering what it was about this series that I didn't enjoy as much. I wasn't sure if it was the different narrator or...
The atmosphere, even?
I wasn't even sure if it... Well, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Or I wasn't sure if it was the fact that I had heard these stories a million times. But I think it settled to the atmosphere. I think that's why I didn't love it as much, is Michael's storytelling felt more action-packed and like, I'm telling a story, we're going on an adventure, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I was used to the calm, sitting by the fire, listening to an old folk tale kind of atmosphere. I was set on that.
Yeah.
That is what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And maybe it was outside of my expectations, which is the point of this podcast, naturally. So it wasn't a bad thing in and of itself. It just...
I mean, that's also Greek myths in general.
Wasn't my favorite. Right, which is what I understood. Doesn't mean I had to like it.
That's fair. So do you still like it, though?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I just feel like if someone were to tell me, hey, go rewatch an old show, I would much rather rewatch the first season.
Okay. What was your favorite of the 4 episodes, then? If you had to pick. I feel like I know the one based on what you just were saying. I feel like I know it. Which one would you say? She's thinking. She's looking at the episodes and reevaluating. She's got the screenshots up as if that'll change her decision.
Actually, I have an app up. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, fucking...
I think Perseus and the Gorgon.
Okay, that completely exceeded anything I was going to say.
I mean, I love that story in general.
That exceeded anything I was going to say.
Actually, no.
Well,
Daedalus and Icarus.
I knew it!
Yeah, I think that one was my favorite.
Because
I have issues with Perseus and the Gorgon.
What's that?
I feel like they could have used the puppet and instead they looked more like they did costume makeup on a person.
Yeah, I mean, that's valid. It's probably cheaper anyways compared to, like, making a whole-ass puppet minotaur.
But I think that's also what threw me off, because that was the first episode I watched.
Oh, okay. I knew Daedalus and Icarus would be your favorite, because that is not action-packed.
No.
That is a cozier vibe, despite Daedalus throwing his nephew off a roof. But, regardless...
Which, actually, before we move on to the Jim Henson Hour, I do want to talk about the ability to take these myths and turn them into something a little more child appropriate. Because Greek myths are not.
No, they ain't. No, they ain't.
So
Zeus has like 50 baby mamas, and that's being generous.
I mean, they're definitely not like kid appropriate, because there is still a lot of action in here. But taking these myths and making, like, watering them down a little bit, like, if you're a hardcore Greek myth fan, I don't think you're going to like this series.
I'm a hardcore fan. I still like this series, but maybe that's my Jim Henson bias.
Yeah.
So.
But, because, like, I was scrolling through on YouTube, there were a couple of comments that were, like, kind of disappointed with the acting of certain characters and the casting of certain characters. So I don't know if you're naturally or necessarily going to enjoy this series because of how more catered towards kid-friendly it is.
Oh, for sure. For sure. It's very family-oriented, so...
Which is interesting, because Greek myths and family...
There's a lot of family, that's for sure.
There's a lot of family.
Lot of family. Yeah. Family.
But it's not family oriented.
I swear, Zeus could have stuck his dick in a sock and come out with 10 kids from it. And thus, straight from his penine came 10 children. I don't know. Straight from his penine came 10 children that walked out of the cave of the cum sock. And they all pledged their allegiance to Poseidon to betray him and throw the gods out of disarray. And then, because this is a Greek myth, they still found a way to fuck each other. Alabama, the country, the myth.
I do feel the need to say that, well, Jim Henson tried to be family friendly. We are not.
No. No, the fuck we ain't.
We are not a podcast for children.
Even then, first of all, we always put it in. So if you let your children watch this, that's your own damn fault. Mm-hmm. It's funny you mentioned the kid friendly because there was a scene that clearly implied sex during Daedalus. No, not Daedalus. That'd be awkward. Really bad, actually.
Yeah.
Wow. Theseus and the Minotaur. So that's so funny you mentioned that because the whole thing where she was laying there waiting for him, and I'm like, they gonna fuck, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they fucked, and then he popped right out of there, left her on a deserted island.
But kids aren't gonna know what that means. Okay, now, how do you feel about the Jim Henson Hour?
Okay, I like it.
You like it?
I do like it a lot.
Okay.
So, it's very interesting. This feels like the precursor where it's like they wanted to do the Muppet Show without it being the Muppet Show. in a weird way. Like, this is what I told you about where they try to expand with the times. The Muppet Show was a theatrical production. This is like a TV show. And they're always in a studio. And then you go a couple years later where they do the Muppet Show, but as a talk show / late night TV show, Muppets Tonight. This is that precursor in between where it's like Jim Henson wanted to do something with the Muppets while expanding his own ideas, which has led to things like Dog City, for example. And also the lion, that lovely lion puppet he had. So, I like it. It took a little accustoming for some episodes, but I really enjoy it.
Okay, I think our thoughts are similar.
Okay.
So, I was not sure how to feel about this one. Not that I disliked it, not that I did not want to continue it. Not even, like, I feel like I did like it more than The Ghost of Fafner Hall.
Okay.
But, I don't know, I just wasn't sure where it was going. And I'll talk about that in a minute, because I have a note on this, actually. So, I loved the Muppet shenanigans. As always. I love the Muppets. I really do. I haven't seen a lot of the Muppet movies, but I love the Muppets.
Yep.
So getting to see them in their element, doing all their shenanigan things that I know they do. Some familiar characters, some characters I've never heard of.
Bean the fucking bunny.
Which I did know Bean, because we went to go see him up at 3D Vision.
I know you know Bean. I forgot he had such a big role in Jim Henson Hour. Like,
and,
genuinely.
what was his name?
Oh my god.
Waldo was also in it, which I wouldn't have known if we didn't go to Disney before the ride closed.
I'm going to be so honest with you. I feel like we should talk about that in a wrap-up, too.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to, but I'm going to be so honest with you. Whether it's just a complete blank or not, I forgot Waldo was even in this show. Like, genuinely. I had no idea. I thought he was just Muppet 3D Vision oriented. That is so crazy when you mention it. He's like, and you're like, yeah, the random Muppets here. And I go, you already know who Bean the Bunny is. And you're like, no, the other one. What's his name? And I go, what are you talking about? I'm like, the host of Muppets Tonight? And she goes, no. And then I see Waldo float on screen and I go, oh, Waldo. And then immediately I blinked and went, Waldo?
So I liked that some of the episodes seemed to have a certain theme and all of like the sketches that were behind it. And I say some because I'm going to get to that. Uh-oh. Not all of the episodes are the same.
No.
They're like very, very different.
Every single one. Every single one.
But like the ones where the Muppets were included made me laugh. And I like that. I like to laugh.
You do?
Why do you think I'm dating this one?
It's not because I'm good looking. Let's put it that way. It's because I bring humor to the table. I'm not Bean the Bunny. I'm Benson Dimension.
Now this is where I'm going to get to. No two episodes quite feel the same.
Oh boy, here we go. She flipped her notebook. She's getting serious. She's laying it down. Hi, Max. Max is walking on the screen.
Now I say this with love because I too have a touch of it. Jim Henson might have had a touch of the ADHD. This show just felt like whatever was on Jim Henson's mind that he wanted to showcase.
Yeah.
And I love that chaos. I'm not mad about it. This is not a negative.
No.
By any means.
I mean, he always wanted to experiment. He always wanted to keep moving with production.
Which can be a good thing and can be a bad thing.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Depends on how you use it. Jim Henson wields it in the best way possible, in my opinion.
It brought an interesting sense to the table. Like, what am I sitting down to watch tonight? I have no fucking idea. It could be some Muppet hijinks. It could be watching a boy make puppets. I have no clue what's happening. It could be dogs running around in their own city.
Shooting each other.
I have no idea what's going to happen tonight. And I kind of lived for that chaos.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I got nothing to disagree with there. He always was experimenting, and I mean, for a while, he was done with the Muppets because he wanted to keep referencing it, but it's the biggest thing to note out there, the Dark Crystal. Like, he was done with the Muppets. He felt like they had done all they needed to do.
Which is incorrect.
It is incorrect in a way, because we've made some great things later on, but you see where he was going with it, and he wanted to keep creating worlds. So, it's interesting, because he got to bring that and meet with the Muppets halfway, in my opinion. Like, he got to do his own thing while meeting with the Muppets halfway. The biggest example I can give, Dog City. He created his own world. He advertised it, and I saw your face during the intro, as, have you ever seen that picture of dogs playing poker at a table? Well, that's what Dog City is inspired by. And I saw your face, and you're like, what? And I'm like, here we go. He made his own world, but before that, he used the Muppets as hijinks leading up to it because they lost the tape. It feels like he found a comfortable blend of what he wanted to do while knowing what the public wanted. So, yeah. It's very ADHD based, the show, but I love it for that.
I was not mad about that whatsoever. That was not a negative. I just wanted to highlight it.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's such an interesting... If you're going in looking for a comfort show and wanting to know exactly what to expect every, second of the show, you're not going to get that here.
I mean, the last episode we saw was based on food.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
There's also a segment in here with a Barbie knockoff.
Yes!
I didn't know how to feel about them.
It's so weird.
I was a little uncomfortable.
It paved the way for my favorite bit of all time, I'm sure. Gary Cahuenga.
Oh my god. We'll talk about that, I'm sure.
You can't have Gary Cahuenga without this Barbie's knockoff, I feel like.
Oh
it's a pipeline.
It scared me. I didn't like it.
You fell asleep during it the first time.
Actually, I fell asleep a couple episodes before that.
Yeah, I walked in and I saw the Ken ripoff and a guy wielding a flamethrower and I'm like, oh, she fell asleep. And I pause and I go, hey, let's get you to bed. And because I had just gotten home from work and and she's like, oh, I fell asleep. I go, yeah, you fell asleep during some doll wielding a flamethrower. And she goes, what? And I go, you can watch it later. Come on. But I feel like that's the best part. We're if you're marathoning these episodes, it feels like what we talked about with in the last episode where you wake up at 3 a.m. and George Lopez is there. This is George Lopez is at least comfort in the eldritch night of 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You know what to expect.
Sure.
You expect that man's face going, "Wacha!" every episode when you wake up at 3 a.m. This one, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah,
you're going to get
no idea.
You're either going to get Ken, you're either going to get Bugsy Them, who's this pit bull looking dude ready to fight people, or you're going to get an episode about food where someone's eating screaming no-nos. Which are humans screaming no.
Screaming no because they're getting eaten.
So, here's my favorite part to ask then. Since you seem to like it, what was your favorite episode?
Actually, I'm really glad you asked that, and I already wrote it down in my notes. I beat you to it. I'm so... Okay.
So you wrote this one down and not the storyteller.
Yes.
Maybe you have a touch of ADHD. Maybe you need your own Neverland Reader Power Hour.
So... My favorite episode wasn't actually... I mean, it was an episode, but it wasn't actually a sketch-filled episode. It was a behind-the-scenes episode.
Really?
It was the behind-the-scenes episode.
Wow.
And I wanted to talk to you about this one because I feel like you would have loved this as a kid.
Yeah, you're actually right about that.
And I don't know if it's because it reminded me of you and I was just smiling through it because I'm like, Benson would have... loved this episode, getting to know how everything works and getting to learn, or if it was because I work with the type of kids that I do. I work with kids on the spectrum and they're always trying to figure out how things work. So it was super interesting, and I don't know if I would have enjoyed this one as a kid. I probably would have just skipped over it.
Yeah.
But watching it now as an adult and getting to see how some of your favorite characters, favorite puppets are created, how the behind the scenes of some of the sketches was super fun and interesting.
Yeah, that's actually a fair point. I really like that episode a lot too. And you're right, because I feel like that is a very me-coded episode. So, yeah. Yeah, I can't argue. All right.
Do you feel called out?
Yes, but I digress nonetheless. Okay, since this episode was the whole reason, what'd you think of Dog City? What'd you think of Dog City?
I liked it.
Okay.
I feel like that was the one out of all of the... Because there are a couple of other episodes that just do a 1 hour long story time. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is the one I enjoyed the most out of all three of them.
It's very much a parody of gangster films.
Which is so silly.
It is. And the whole, I'm you, why you, that whole thing, I just saw your face and you're like, oh my God. I'm like, this is your humor, you're laughing.
Because it's a... conversation that I would have had with one of my friends when we were younger.
Yeah.
Because we literally did that bit all through high school.
Oh, absolutely. And Bugsy Them. I'm you. What a coincidence. I'm them. You were losing it, though, because there's a scene where they mimic, like, the shadow violence, where, like, the violence is implied but not directly shown, where Bugsy's, after his tail is being mocked, where he gets a rolled-up newspaper and goes, "You're a bad dog," and smacks Ace on the top of the... I saw your face drop and go, "No!" Like, it was so funny to watch your face.
It was so mean. See, and that's the hard part about using dogs in this kind of media, where, like, there is a bad dog. There's no bad dogs. They're all good boys and girls.
The behind the scenes for that was funny. The parody for that, where, like, the cat was the stunt double. Dave Goles voiced the cat, and it was so funny seeing this poor cat go through all these hijinks and being tortured, and like, "Hey, is there a mat?" "Sure." Pushes the mat out of the way and the cat falls. Everyone's laughing their ass off. I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, that's great. Okay.
The poor babies.
Speaking of puppets.
I know they're puppets, but still.
Speaking of puppets, because we talked about Bean the Bunny, we talked about Waldo, there's another rare Muppet that I don't think ever made an appearance after this show that I wanted to ask your opinion about.
Digit?
Yes. What did you think? Because when you first saw him when we watched Dog City...
I didn't know what he was.
Yeah, as soon as he turned around, you looked and went, "What is that?"
Yeah, I have no idea what he was. I still don't really think I know what he is.
He's a robot, I'm pretty sure.
But I like him.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. I would like to see more of him, but I highly doubt.
We're never going to see him, I think.
Which is so stupid.
There's a lot of rare Muppets that are never used again. Well, I mean... There's a couple Muppets they brought back and, like, have used since the revival, quote-unquote, I guess, call it what you will at this point, of the Muppets by Disney, starting with The Muppets. ABC Muppets used Chip, the intern.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chip, you know, one of the hackers in the last episode we watched, The Food.
Mm-hmm.
They used him. I don't know how often he was used afterwards. I forget, but Chip was used quite a bit, actually. They bring a lot of puppets back, actually. They bring a lot of Muppets. Bobo the Bear's a good one to see. You'll love Bobo. He's hysterical, but I'm thinking now way outside the box and way ahead. But Bobo's a great Muppet as well. But there's a lot of Muppets that are very confined to one or two series and movies and then never seen again. And Digit's one of them, which sucks because he actually is a great Muppet, honestly. And I thought once you get past the weird-ass design... He's pretty great.
But, like, his design makes sense for what he is.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. I think it's such a waste when you bring a character on and then only use him for one project when you have so many projects.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can't find a space for him.
Mm-hmm. That's the sucky part about this, you know? So... Also, Bean the Bunny. We're going to keep memeing Bean the Bunny to death because he's fucking...
I love him.
He's so wild.
I love him.
I forgot he did a Rambo parody.
I
forgot he did that in the Dog City. I was like, oh my god.
Oh, and the musical guests. So, unlike the Ghost of Fafner Hall,
Yep.
even though I had no clue who these people were, I still enjoyed them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that was
guests-
another thing we can talk about.
They're more Muppet Show oriented. Like,
Yeah.
they're there for the fun and not the learning aspect, you know?
Which was really funny because hearing one of the guests singing I Love Trash made my whole night.
Wait, really?
Yeah, made my whole night. Do you know that song?
I don't think I do.
Oscar the Grouch.
Oh, wait,
I Love
yes.
Trash.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah, because one of the bands is, like, loves trash. And so they get one of the musical artists to sing I Love Trash.
All right.
I can't believe you've never heard that.
Okay, it's been a while, but I guess I'll save that for the Sesame Street, that plot twist reveal for the Sesame Street episode, but there's a reason why I forgot about it.
Okay.
So we'll save that for the Sesame Street episode.
Okay.
But no, I forgot Oscar sang that.
Yeah.
Jim Henson likes to make nods to his own stuff about making nods to his own stuff, and
Which
it's so
is
fun.
so funny.
But no, the musical guests were definitely much, much better. For sure. I do agree. But that's also because they were more fun-oriented instead of, like, we're here for a lesson.
Educational.
Which, again, we'll get into that. I have thoughts on that when we get to the Sesame Street episode. But it's very, very interesting. Which brings me to the interconnecting of the two, I guess. Storyteller in Jim Henson Hour.
Yes. Honestly, made this episode so easy to prep for.
Well, thank God. The last thing I'd want to do is make you struggle.
But I also feel like it kind of did a disservice to the Jim Henson Hour Because the Jim Henson Hour really is only 30 minutes. If it's with the Muppets. Sorry.
Yeah.
If it's the full length story, which I think there are like 3 or 4
Dog
of those.
City had like 40 minutes to it, 50 minutes to
Yeah,
it.
the rest of them are about 40-ish minutes because, commercials and everything, and that's why it's considered an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's only the Muppet Shenanigans, it's only a half an hour long episode. And even then, maybe like 23 minutes.
Yeah, it is such a disservice, I feel like. Because, again, the Storyteller is fantastic, but it sucks because you feel like Jim Henson really needed something. I mean, the food episode's the biggest thing. Like, we go from talking about food, we do a weird song about the food chain, and then we get a story about the 3 ravens where some witch curses. And there was barely any food in that, I will say, which is interesting. So, I don't know. I like the Storyteller, but I feel like those could have been their own thing.
They should have been their own thing. I feel like if you're going to do something called the Jim Henson Hour, it should be an hour.
Well, I mean, counterpoint, it is still Jim Henson.
It is.
It still technically is.
It is, but if you have to use another show to complete that hour, can it stand on its own?
I'm so proud of you for making that connection because that's the exact point I make. You are thinking like me. I am so proud of you.
Which I guess is the point of this podcast, isn't it?
Yes,
If
you're
I
turning
start-
into me.
If I start singing Ninja Sex Party, someone needs to off me.
Whoa! That's fucking crazy. I was gonna say if you start going by they, them, and start growing a beard and going, "Hi guys."
I already had one. You remember?
A beard?
When I was pretending to be you on stream.
All right, on my stream, but that.
Benson had to work one night. We're getting off topic here because why not? Benson had to work one night, and Connor and I were streaming for them, and I put on a fake beard and a hat and pretended to be Benson, and everyone totally fell for it.
Sure, totally, yeah. Back on track though. I do agree. The Storyteller episodes are still good. It is the Storyteller at its finest.
Yeah, I love the Storyteller.
But that's its weakness when in place with the Jim Henson Hour. And that's why they're so similar, yet so different. Because it's interesting that they tell their own individual stories and their own hijinks and their contained episodes and all that stuff. Very akin to Jim Henson's Muppet Show without being the Muppet Show. But it's interesting how they puzzle piece together in that way. Is it just to fill time? Yeah, maybe. But it's interesting how Jim Henson is willing to puzzle piece in that way. And that's why I'm glad you listened to me when we were talking about doing these as one big episode. Mm-hmm. Because they have their self-contained stories a lot of the time. But it's interesting to see how they interweave. And I'm glad you beat me to the punch, because that was my other question, is how did you feel about them interweaving the 2 episodes together, or series together, I should say. So that's a good one.
Yeah.
Overall question, I guess, because I feel like you don't have much else to say about Jim Henson Hour. Mm-hmm. Puppetry in general. What did you think? Which show had the better ones?
The Jim Henson Hour.
For sure.
I mean, for sure. I think that goes without saying.
Yeah,
I mean, true. I think one of my favorite puppets was more showcased in The Storyteller.
Which one?
I like the devil puppets.
Oh, yep.
I like them.
Yep. The Minotaur was actually really impressive. In
that.
regards to showcasing overall master puppetry, I feel like Storyteller has a greater range. Jim Henson Hour has the better puppetry with the Muppets
the Muppets
and showcasing that. So
I know
it's
hard to compare anything with the Muppets to something that's not, because the Muppets are so iconic.
And they're so lifelike. Everyone thinks that they're talking. Like, the audience... There's a famous clip of Jim Henson pulling out Ralph. I forget the talk show he was on. But Ralph just he gets immediately into character, and everyone acknowledges Ralph instead of Jim Henson, it feels like, without realizing it. And it's just Jim Henson pointing and going, "Hey, son of a bitch!" Interesting thought for sure. What'd you think of the lion?
Oh, I loved him.
You love your animal companions.
I love my animal companions. You're right.
Which one's better, the dog or the lion?
The dog, because he talked. I mean, there's only so much you can do with an animal companion who doesn't talk.
Well, he was funny.
He was.
When Jim Henson was like, "You always think of your stomach."
The lion reminded me of Maxie.
The lion does give Maxie vibes, actually.
He's just chilling.
It's always going to come back to our cats in some way.
Always. He's just chilling.
And then the dog's definitely Banks, who likes to chatter your ear off, it feels like.
Yeah.
So
at 6 a.m.
At 6 a.m., yes. So, all right, that was my bigger question. So, overall thoughts. Give your thoughts. Which one did you like more? What do you think?
My overall thoughts
Yes.
is I enjoyed both.
Yep.
If I had to watch one over the other, it would be The Storyteller.
Yeah.
Only the European stories over the Jim Henson Hour. Not because there was anything bad with the Jim Henson Hour, just I feel like I would most prefer to watch The Storyteller.
Interesting.
And then I feel like there are other shows with Muppet shenanigans that showcase the Muppets in a more creative light.
I was going to say, you could say better. You could say better. Just say better.
I want to say better because show isn't bad.
Well, better can still be a statement, though, without being harsh.
That's fair.
Like,
That's fair.
I mean, Muppet Show was before this. Muppets Tonight was after this. ABC's Muppets were after this. And you could argue all three of those shows showcase the Muppets to better degree.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Which we'll get to soon enough, obviously. So, any other thoughts for these?
No, I think we've covered it.
Cool. Awesome stuff, then. Woo!
What did you think of them?
Oh, I love them. I love them. There's no doubt about it in my mind. I love them. I feel like I'd prefer Jim Henson Hour.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But you like anything with Jim Henson in it.
Yes. I like anything with Jim Henson. My acid's killing me. I'm sorry. My stomach
That's
acid.
okay. My throat's been gone this whole episode.
Yeah, she's been recovering from a cold, so that's why for the last few episodes you've heard sniffling. For those of you that don't like it, sorry.
I try to cut it out as much as possible, but when Benson's talking, I can't really cut out the parts that they're talking.
Sorry, guys. We have phlegm. We're human bodies. What can we say? There's no Greek myth on how we got phlegm or cursed with phlegm. What do you want from us? But the Greek myths I really enjoy. I do. I really do. And the European myths I enjoy. I really do. I just think Jim Henson Hour is like such a vibe of chaos that I'm like, damn, that's me. Like, I bounce from one idea to the other, and sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. I'm gonna fucking let it ride. And I appreciate that energy.
Which is something we'll talk about in the last episode, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we
will. If you don't know how this podcast is going to be set up, at the end of every month, we're going to do like a little wrap-up video and just explain our overall final thoughts on everything. And I'm sure I will have a lot of questions for Benson at the end of this one and vice versa.
We will not be talking about the end yet. We're talking about the next episode, which I am probably going to suplex her over, maybe. Tell them what it is.
If you're going to watch along with us so that you can let us know your thoughts, in the next episode, we are going to be talking about...
Hold on, wait. I'm gonna get up and get very far away for this.
We're going to be talking about a trilogy of sorts. The movies that, besides the Muppets, Jim Henson is most known for. We're going to be talking about Mirror Mask, which Jim Henson did not work on, but we felt we should talk about it at least. The Dark Crystal.
Yes!
And...
Labyrinth! Labyrinth!
If you didn't hear, Benson's favorite movie of all time is...
Labyrinth!
Labyrinth. So, if you want to watch along with us and let us know what you think about these movies along with us, I've already seen all three, but we can't do a Jim Henson podcast without talking about these movies. So... join us in the next episode where we talk about all three movies. And do you have a question?
I was going to ask if you had one. I don't know. Okay. Which one did you prefer? Storyteller or fucking Jim Henson Hour? Which one did you prefer? And also, which one's your favorite myth? Let us know in the comments down below.
Yeah, what is your favorite myth? Even if it's not featured in The Storyteller.
We don't have any comments yet or answers to questions, so we're kind of hungry here. Feed us, Seymour. Feed us.
Let us know.
Do it. You won't. No balls.
All right.
Zeus already cut them off and stapled them to your wife's forehead while he gave you 10 children of the thunderclouds. There's a myth somewhere about that, I'm sure. Go ahead and outro, honey.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us in the Ketchup Corner. We will see you next time, and we love you. Goodbye.
Bye.